Welcome ladies and gents, and today we introduce South Africa to a new brand. Actually, it isn't really new. In fact, it's been going since 1901. But it's very different these days and has not been seen on South African shores for decades. It's Royal Enfield, a famous British brand that, in some sort of reverse imperialism, is now famously Indian. More so, this is the Himalayan, the dual-purpose bike designed to conquer the southern Himalayas. Now, normally we would borrow one for a week and bring you a week's thoughts, but instead we have Brian Cheyne, an elite South African motorcycle journalist who went one further and departed with 119,000 Rand to buy one.
When the original 411 Himalayans came out, I immediately fell in love with the concept of that bike, because it's a lightweight, go anywhere bike for any adventure. So I started looking around for that. That bike was never available in South Africa. I did see one version of it down in Cape Town. I think that was the homologation version, but it never made it to South Africa. And then at the end of last year, November-ish, I heard that Royal Enfield are coming back into South Africa, and I immediately put my name up for one immediately. I had a Honda CB500X at the time, but I knew that for the type of riding that I do, I'm a slow rider. I take my time and I take a meander down little roads. The Royal Enfield Himalayan was going to be the perfect bike for me, so I immediately put my name down, and I took delivery of that bike 2 months ago.
Sounds compelling. And how did it fare up when it eventually arrived?
I took their demo version out for a quick ride around Centurion and immediately fell in love with the riding position. It's got nice wide handlebars, the seat is comfortable, and your whole riding position is very comfortable. Up to now, I've only done basically the run-in mileage. It's only got a run-in time of 500 kilometers. So for the first 500 k's, you really got to take it easy, and then I could really open it up after its first service. And I've already done a trip up to Kaapse from my house, and I completely missed the N4. I went all the little side roads and back roads. And if you want to legally bypass the very expensive Machadodorp toll plaza, then you can go around it by a stunning scenic route. And I've already done that on the Himalayan, and it's just superb.
The frame is tubular steel that's very easy to build and easy to repair if need be. The brakes are by Brembo's Asian counterparts by BRE, or by Brembo, with switchable ABS. The suspension is from Showa with 200mm of travel on each end to support a wet weight of 196 kilograms. Importantly, the wheels are spoked with 17-inch at the rear and 21-inch at the front.
Handling, the bike has got Showa suspension front and rear, and the handling is exceptional for just an average rider like myself. Going down the Long-Tom Pass corners, I mean, this bike is such a sweet handling bike. It really, really is. The rear shock is adjustable for rebound or for preload. The front suspension is not adjustable, but for most of the riding that I do, it is more than adequate.
Then there's the motor, Royal Enfield's own 452cc liquid-cooled single, pushing 40 horsepower and a nice round 40 Nm of torque, all controlled via fuel injection.
The engine is a 452cc, it's Royal Enfield's own Sherpa engine. It's got a fair amount of torque low down, and the gearing of the bike is such, especially first gear, for low down torque. When I went down to Kaapse, I went up Long-Tom Pass, I went up one of these little service roads, and the low down torque was a big boon. You put it in first or second and it can just crawl up anywhere. The bike can cruise at 120, 130 all day long. It does become a bit buzzy because it is a single cylinder. And it's got more than enough power for me because I always travel alone and I don't carry a lot of luggage. But what I would say is that especially up there in the Eastern Transvaal with the high altitudes, the engine runs out a bit of puff, but this is not where this bike is meant to be ridden. It's not a highway cruiser. This is a bike that you see a little side track and you say, I wonder where that goes, and you just go. The engine is more than enough power for the type of riding that I do.
Like any modern motor, there are modern bits, but not too many.
The Royal Enfield Himalayan is very simplistic in its electronics. It's only got 2 rider modes. It's got performance and eco, and each one of those has got an additional mode where you can switch the ABS off on the rear. The difference between performance and eco is nothing to do with power. It's just the way that it delivers the power. That's all. I keep the bike in performance all the time, and when we did do the little gravel sections, you just switch the ABS off on the back. But what I like about the bike is its connectivity to the Royal Enfield app. It shows you Google Maps on your screen, complete maps, not turn-by-turn navigation. It physically shows you the maps. The only downside for that is that you have to keep your phone on, but for that, at least the Himalayan comes with a USB-C port as standard.
More so, those crash bars in the tank are standard and double as mounting points for carry bags, as does the rack on the back. There's extra tie-down points on the subframe, a bash plate, and critically a center stand, all as standard. The wheels are available for either tubeless or tubed tires, but nothing is ever quite perfect.
These tires are superb when on the tar, but when it gets to a gravel, it's a bit iffy for me, and I'm sure that when it gets muddy and sandy, these tires are not gonna hold up. So they are more biased towards tar riding.
So here we have a small, easy to ride, simple adventure machine. Sounds grand. And that's coming from someone who owns one.
I've already got a trip planned down to Coffee Bay, but I want to go through Lesotho with it. I've got enough confidence to ride on all the roads in Lesotho, even going down Sani Pass on the other side of Lesotho and head down there to Coffee Bay. That's the one trip that I've planned, and I've already got a trip planned for Botswana. It's definitely going to Botswana. I've got a mate who's almost got a passport for Botswana. That's how much he goes. So we'll definitely do Botswana. And that is the thing about the bike, is that you can do all these things. I have confidence in the bike that it will handle any terrain that I give it. So I'm excited for the future ahead.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before the break, you saw us riding the Royal Enfield Himalayan. Actually, you didn't see me riding it. You saw my friend Brian Cheyne, who bought the bike. He was riding it. You might remember a couple of weeks ago, I sort of accidentally a little bit broke a bunch of ribs. And kind of doing a whole lot of off-roading and bumping around didn't really help. But Brian, I mean, I think it is better, instead of hearing what I say after a few days of riding it, you're hearing what somebody who actually bought the motorcycle and has had it for a couple of months says. And I think that would be a little bit more valuable. But okay, some more interesting stuff about Royal Enfield. They are in the country now. They have their importers based in Cape Town. There's a dealership there. There's also a dealership in Centurion, that's World of Motorcycles, so you can buy the entire range of Royal Enfield from there. They've got some very interesting motorcycles. They're all kind of smaller capacity, very stylish sort of things, and of course very well priced. So yeah, very good news for South Africa. And also good news is this, is the Himalayan itself. I did take it for a small ride. My ribs have still not forgiven me, but it's and this is becoming a little bit cliched. If we say, if you were to take the Royal Enfield sticker on and put the sticker of something from Europe or Japan on it, you wouldn't know the difference, and that's becoming a bit cliched. It's remember, the Indian market's a little bit different. As we've seen, I mean, we've got my hero Ferrari that I've been riding around for 3 years now, absolutely bulletproof. We've seen other bikes, Royal Enfield, they were taken over by the Indians about a couple of decades ago now. They've been going for a while, And they do tours through the Himalayas. You do them on Royal Enfields, and that was before the Himalayan. They used to do it on the road bike, the sort of cafe racer road bike. So these are bikes that are made to be tough and are made to be strong. And the Indian market is different from other markets. It's a tough market to get into. It's a tough market to build bikes for. The Indian market, the bikes need to be stylish, they need to be practical, need to be economical, and above all, they need to be reliable. The Indian market will not stand for a motorcycle that breaks down a lot. They have to be tough. The Indian market likes to buy a motorcycle and keep it for a long time. And above all, they need to be well priced. So yeah, that's very tough for the Indian manufacturers, but hey, they are getting it right. And we're seeing other motorcycles. I mean, it's not just the Indian market. We've seen CF Moto producing a whole lot of bikes that are pretty much taking on the Europeans and Japanese head on. We've seen the likes of big boys been around for decades now. Their bikes are sort of starting to prove themselves more and more and more. And it's very good. And more so, okay, so 450 Himalayan, it's a sub 500 adventure motorcycle. And then we've seen from the latest Amit stats in South Africa, the sub 500 dual purpose market is the fastest growing in the country. So it's very good news. We get more motorcycles that are well priced, 119,000 Rand. Dare I say, if it came from Europe or Japan, it would be closer to 200,000. So this is it, very well priced. Now I spoke about reverse imperialism, Royal Enfield falling in the hand of Indian owners. Another brand that's done similar is Norton. Now Norton, it's a famous old brand like Royal Enfield, especially racing in sort of the 50s, 60s and 70s. It was a name to beat. Yeah, and it did make a bit of a resurgence towards the early 2000s to 2010s in British hands. They built some very interesting motorcycles, but that all got a bit messy. The owner, multi-millionaire, was indicted for fraud and all kinds of things. It got really messy, and that sort of disappeared. And since then, Norton has been bought by Indian manufacturer TVS, and they're also coming out with a bunch of similar to Royal Enfield, smaller 350, 400, those sort of market motorcycles, very, very stylish. We haven't really seen them yet. They're going to be doing a big announcement at the EICMA show in November. But the most interesting is they're building apparently a 1200cc V4 superbike. We don't know any details on that, but again, November and EICMA, we will hear about it. Now, last week we announced that we're doing the Jericho ride again. That's from Mulligan's near Hartbeespoort. We go up the canal road to Jericho Rock, this famous big rock in the middle of absolute nowhere. You sit on the top and you feel like King Kong. Now, of course, I'm a bit of a moron, as you've worked this out before. I said it was Sunday, the 8th of September, and yeah, people who would have looked at their calendars would have noticed that the 8th of September is a Monday, so apologies for that. It'll rather come on Sunday, the 7th of September. We meet at Mulligan's Pub and Restaurant near Hartbeespoort at 8 o'clock that morning, Sunday morning. We leave at 9, have some cool breakfast and some coffee in the morning, bit of a rider's briefing and an introduction, then we leave at 9. It's mostly off-road the whole way, not too difficult off-road. There will be some on-road though. We have to do a few detours through Brits and all that. That will require a bit of on-road riding. And of course, to get back from Jericho Rock, unless you want to go back via the canal road, which can take forever, it's going to involve road riding. So yeah, you need off-road capable motorcycles that are road legal. It is going to be a long day. We leave at 9. You should be back home late afternoon. So yeah, take the whole day off for that one. But it's going to be fun. It's brought to you by Hero Motorcycles. You don't have to be on a Hero motorcycle to come join. Anyone can come join. You do, however, have to be lacquer. So then, we'll see you all on the 7th of September. Welcome back, and you join us at Red Star Raceway for a bit of a continuation about the Suzuki ATR Cup that's busy getting started. Well, they actually have a prepped race bike ready to go, and they invited potential racers and the odd TV show to give it a go. One of the potential riders is up-and-coming youngster Jason van Breda and his veteran racer father, Graham van Breda.
Okay, I'm Graham from Bradar. Been riding for many, many years. Started riding probably when I was 15. I'm 51 this year. Competitively at nationals for the last 35 years, probably 40 years maybe. We're currently riding in the ZX10 Cup. My son is obviously 13 years old, so he's been riding for the last 6 or 7 years. Also started the short circuit series. He's getting to the end of that now, and we're looking at moving him up to a bigger class.
The ATR Cup involves taking Suzuki's new GSX 8R road sport bike, adding race fairings and a few small but essential mods to it, and then racing it in a one-make series. The best part is that instead of using multiple sets of expensive race tyres throughout the weekend, like you would do on a race superbike, instead each rider has to use just one set of tyres for the whole weekend. This saves costs but also saves the hassle of changing tyres during the day. More so, with discounts from Suzuki South Africa, potential riders can buy a complete race bike like this for just 180,000 Rand.
Yeah, look, when I heard it got launched, I think they were trying to launch it. I've only been brought into the loop now, but I heard about it obviously, I think 2 years back. I thought, what a great idea. And then we heard the things where the guys want to fit suspension and they want to change it. And obviously it's a nice thing because it makes the bike nicer to ride. But you get a new bike is never cheap. So you're looking at around about 200,000 Rand for any half decent race bike. As soon as you start adding on all the groceries and stuff like that, you're at 250, then you're at 300, then you're at 350 grand. And what is the point? I always say, if the kids are all on exactly the same motorbikes, if the bikes are ridden and sealed, if they're sealed at the factory and the horsepowers are the same, regardless of what that bike pushes or regardless of how it handles, the racing is going to be close. You can see it anywhere in the world, a one-make series with very minimal modifications, the racing is close. And that's what people want to see. They don't care if it's big names that are coming first, second, or third. If there's 20 people dicing for the lead, that's what people are interested in. They come to racing to watch racing. I asked him, Jay, would you like to change anything on the bike if we were allowed to? And he said, Dad, the bike's great. So in other words, for an entry-level racer who wants to spend that amount of money, you leave the shock standard, leave the suspension standard, leave the pipe, leave everything on it. Obviously, I was speaking to Stuart, I'd love to have the thing making a bit of noise because that'll be great for the spectators. But from a point of view of this bike as it is, it works brilliantly.
This is all good news because at the moment there is a giant gap between the small racing classes for kids and big scary superbikes. Also, there's nothing for older, more casual racers. Until now.
If you've got 20 people racing, if the springs are a bit soft or if the back shock's a little bit soggy maybe, everybody's on the same bike, the best rider will win inevitably. So what a great idea. And moving forward, I hope the thing takes off because it's the first time in probably 10 years in South Africa where I've seen something that I'm actually excited about, where there'll be no money put in, you buy that package and you race it. You all go to the same circuit. I don't think they're going to have an age limit. You can have 14-year-olds up to whatever age racing the bike. But it is obviously aimed as a stepping stone because, let's be honest, there is nothing at the moment. There is no stepping stones for the youngsters. You ride short circuit 150, and then I don't know, then you must jump on a ZX10, maybe. There's nothing in the middle and nothing competitive in the middle.
After Jason had warmed the tyres for me, it was my turn to swing a leg over.
The foot pegs are a lot higher. Because on the standard bike, it's a very comfortable sort of bike. Handlebars are quite high, foot pegs are quite low. That's made for comfort. The problem with that is when you go around a racetrack, the foot pegs start dragging on the ground, so your leaning capabilities are limited by the foot pegs. Whereas now with this, it's got racing after racing hangers, as they call it. So the foot pegs are a little bit higher, and therefore they don't scrape. It does mean that this bike is significantly more cramped. But that's racing for you, isn't it? Wow, this thing pulls well. They've got shorter gearing for racing, so they take off the standard gearing, they put slightly shorter gearing, so it doesn't have the same top speed as the road bike, but it's got a lot more acceleration. That's pretty damn good. I knew it had more acceleration than the road bike, but I still thought, yeah, it's going to be, sort of ho-hum, but that's surprisingly strong. The brakes are stock standard. They're keeping stock standard brakes. Remember, it's all about costs, above all. As long as the brakes work. I mean, a racing set of brakes would create better lap times, but is that necessary when everybody else has the same brakes? So provided the brakes work, so they don't overheat in that, and they've had kids riding around all day, braking really hard, and none of them have complained. The same with the suspension. Again, the suspension, I mean, is a long way off the racing Ohlins and all that kind of stuff. But as long as it's not dangerous, as long as it doesn't start pogoing and start becoming a problem, who cares? And it's not a problem. These, as for standard suspension, especially suspension like this, that's meant to also be, you know, made to a budget. It's amazing how well the suspension works. It's rather damn good.
My son is a avid sportsman. He does cricket. He's a good runner. Hockey, basically anything, any sport he can get. He plays tennis, and the bike side, there's nothing that compares with it. I often ask him. I mean, he makes the first teams in all the A sides and all this stuff, and I always ask him, Jay, would you give up that A side cricket? Or would you give up that A side hockey to ride a bike? And the answer is always yes. We've obviously always, we're a very close family, so he's always been my blue-eyed boy. But so we've never had an issue. I know, you know, some of the parents bring their children into racing to get the kids off the cell phone or off whatever stuff. You know, the kids have got so many other distractions nowadays that are there. You bring the kid to race. Obviously, the racing is so much more fun, and he's with his mates. Everybody's doing the same kind of thing. It keeps the kids away from the other bad stuff that they could be doing. But for sure, I mean, all the time I did the same. You know, with my dad. We were best friends. We grew up, well, obviously a lot younger than him, but we raced together. When I finished racing, he was finished racing, I was just starting racing. So that kind of bond, you can never replace that with a kid. So yes, your question, I mean, it builds a wonderful bond. Our family always comes, my daughter comes, the wife comes. So it becomes a very much a family sport. Sometimes the wives whine because you go overboard and racing takes over everything. You know the story. But if the racing's the most fun, then why wouldn't you want to do it all the time?
This bike's really easy to ride. I mean, it's got such a broad power band, and it's so really easy to turn. You don't need to be as fit. I mean, you ride in big superbikes, you've got to be fit. Those things take it out of you. This does not. It's a lovely, easy bike to ride. Lovely, easy, cheap, fun. That is everything you want in a race bike. And it's everything we have here.
If you wish to find out more about the Suzuki ATR Cup, contact your local Suzuki dealer.